Welcome to the second webinar of the TAR Network series. For those who don't know me, I'm Jayne Spink and I'm the Translational Research Director for Prostate Cancer Research. And today we'll be focusing on the challenges and opportunities for smaller charities in working in the translational research space. And I'll be sharing some of our experiences in setting up our translational arm, Proven Connect, and our journey to establishing TAR. Sonia, Oliver and Matt are here with us today, and these are the guys who've been with the programme from the beginning and who recognise the opportunity and value of translational research and who originated the translational research programme for PCR. So I'd like just to invite them to introduce themselves. Oliver.
Hi, my name's Oliver Kemp. I'm CEO of Prostate Cancer Research. I've been CEO for the last 6 years. And as it says on the slide, I have a background in the third sector, been involved in a variety of roles as CEO as a previous organisation, 25 years in the sector now. Nice to meet you all.
Matt.
Hi everyone, my name's Matt. I am the former chair of PCR, so I became a trustee in 2016 and took on the chair role in 2018, and I stepped down in the March that's just passed, having served my 3 terms. My professional background is in investment banking and in mergers and acquisitions, which is different to biotechs and investment, but it's kind of quite close. So it was an area that wasn't too far away from my professional experience.
And Sonia.
Hi, I'm Sonia Lawrence. I'm the Head of Business Development. I've been with Proven Connect from the start, as Jane said, and previously I was the Head of Major Gifts Fundraising and have been in the third sector as a major gift fundraiser for my whole career.
Thank you. And these guys will be available to answer any questions and for the discussion session at the end of the presentation. I think what's really interesting for me is that over the past 3 years, we've had loads of great conversations with other smaller charities who are either already active in the translational space or who are hoping to be. And it was the value and potential of those conversations that encouraged us to found the TAR Network. And we'll be also looking at the reasons why we set TAR up and the value that we see in TAR and looking at some of the outputs already from that group. But before we move into the main presentation, Oliver, I'd like you to speak a little bit to the prostate cancer research experience tell us a little bit about prostate cancer research and why prostate cancer research decided to get involved with translational research.
Thanks, Jane. Yeah, so the organisation, as Sonia was saying, isn't a huge organisation. We've just finished our financial year, 23-24, with an income just over £4 million. The aim and mission of the organisation is a world free from the impact of prostate cancer. And in some ways, that aim and mission was the first kind of conversations I had alongside Matt and Sonia around whether we should be doing anything in the translational space. In fact, Sonia asked me the question when she first applied for the job to come to prostate cancer research. Are we thinking of doing anything with commercial companies? So I think that was the first conversation we probably had about 4 years ago. So we're divided into 3 main sections, as you can see there. Academic research grants, that's been our bread and butter for kind of 30 odd years now. We provide around 23 grants, most of which are in the UK, 4 of which are in the US. We also have the translational research division, which has now been running for a couple of years and supported 4 biotechs. And our patient engagement, patient projects and influencing team, which is really about making sure that the benefits of the top 2, the academic research and translational research, reach as many people as possible. So the 3 parts of the organisation work quite nicely together to provide that work from a very initial idea right through to trying to get it to the point where it's sustainable and funded by people other than ourselves, alongside trying to make sure that all the benefits of that research reach as many people as possible. So we're not huge, we're 25 members of staff, we're hiring a few more this year. I think the other interesting point is around those kind of collaborations that we're trying to create, and the Prostate Progress data platform is one of those areas of collaboration. obviously having a data platform that's able to understand the needs of patients, to understand how they're reacting to treatments in real time, to be able to understand where there's variations in the treatment pathway, and be able to see where there are needs amongst the ecosystem is incredibly useful for us deciding which academic research projects and translational research projects we should support and why we should support them. So you can see that some of the initiatives that we're working on within other parts of the organization have strong links to our translational research work. Sonia, do you want? I'm not going to go into too many details about prostate cancer, but it's a very significant disease, and the cost of treating it at the later stages in particular are incredibly expensive. So in some ways that means that trying to reduce those costs and ensure that the treatment options that are available get licensed and brought into human beings is particularly of importance to us. And we've seen a number of precision medicines that have been rejected by NICE over the last 12 months. The incidence rate is going up, and it's costing the NHS £320 million per year already. That's likely to increase as aging populations and the demographics of the UK change, alongside personalised medicines that are likely to be more expensive too. Certainly, one of the things that we've really learnt around developing Proven is that the diagnostics in particular are behind other cancers, and it's more difficult to get commercial investment into diagnostics than it is for treatments. Treatments are still coming along, but we're behind breast, lung and blood cancers, which are similarly as common. So there's plenty of, I think the main thing to take away from this slide is that there's plenty of opportunity if you get things further along the pipeline. And one of the things that we came across very early on when we hired Jayne was that there's this big gap in between academic research and the kind of the VC models or the pharmaceuticals taking on new companies. But once you get them there, there's a very significant market. So I suppose our main aim with setting up this model was to make sure that in the very difficult stages where you're trying to exit from an academic research institution and become a fully grown company that's sustainable and developing, it's incredibly difficult. And that right from that kind of academic research through to becoming an early stage company, you see a huge number of organizations not have the right level of advice, support and funding. And Jayne and Sonia and the Translational Scientific Advisory Committee that we've put together have done far more than just try to put together the funding. They've tried to support people. So there's a huge need, and that was the thing that Matt and Jayne took to the board and said, we need to work on this particular need because this is going to be the thing that serves patients properly, and that we have a full and flowing pipeline of new exciting innovations starting from a very early idea and being able to actually develop into something that works on humans. And I guess that final point there is that there is a good market for it. There's 8.5% growth in financial returns means that if we can get the companies to the right stage, then there's plenty of opportunities for them.
Thank you. So exactly how have we been operating this model over the last 3 years? Well, you can see that there's a big gap between wanting to invest in companies and actually knowing which companies you might be able to invest in. So the first thing that we've had to put together is a way of sourcing new companies. So identifying early stage companies with innovations with the potential to be applied to prostate cancer, but not always necessarily operating in that space currently. We started out doing desk-based research and reaching out to companies that we felt had potential in prostate cancer. And in total, we triaged well over 160 young and startup companies. We were finding that the majority of those were not of the particular they weren't hitting our needs, or they weren't applicable ultimately to prostate cancer, or prostate cancer might not be the best indication. And actually, we've moved from that method of sourcing companies into one of referral through collaborators and through our network. And we're getting a much richer source of potential through those personal referrals. We then undertake an internal assessment where I would review the company's technology initially, including any supporting academic research or published data, along with looking at the landscape and at what competitor technologies might exist. And for those that pass that initial triage point, which is a rate of about 1 in 7, we then go to an external review. So we seek experts who have particular expertise relevant to the innovation. And we look to source an external view on the innovation's potential, where it might fit in the prostate cancer care pathway, and any gaps that the company would need to address to make them investable. And then we take those companies to our Translational Scientific Advisory Committee for a really thorough review, and we gather feedback not only on whether an investment might be recommended, but also really valuable feedback that we can share with the company to help them better finesse their commercial or development plans and better understand whether and how there are opportunities in prostate cancer for them. The final stage is with board approval. We invest around 50k in exchange for equity. And then we seek to support those companies, connecting them with clinicians, academics, healthcare providers, and patients, so that we get a really holistic look at the ways in which they can develop their innovation to meet the needs of the health service and of prostate cancer patients. And finally, we look to leverage key relationships and the patient insights that we have from our community to support adoption of new technologies. And we'll speak a little bit more about that in the later slide. Next slide, please. So our Translational Scientific Advisory Committee are an excellent group of individuals with specialisms relating to prostate cancer, to research, and also they come with experience from pharma and biotech, as well as investment experience. And you can see the range of expertise that we have here. And I think what is really special for us is that all of these individuals are providing their services pro bono, and the depth of insights that they can deliver both to PCR and to the companies that we work with are extremely valuable. And so a massive thank you to everyone who takes part in our committee or acts as an external advisor, because that really is the way that we're able to be sure that our due diligence and that the choices that we make in relation to our investments are evidence-based and sensible. Next slide, please. So we have, in terms of sourcing our companies, I mentioned that we've triaged an update here, over 200 companies. And from that, we had a hit rate of about 1 in 8 of companies that go through the process to formal review. We also have a great number of academics, both from the PCR portfolio, but also more widely, who are looking to spin out their technology into startups. And so we're able to work directly with those academics to help them identify whether and where there is a potential for their innovation in prostate cancer. We see referrals coming through early stage venture capital firms and through government programs like Innovate UK, and we are partners with Innovate UK for aligned funding, which I think is an extremely valuable asset to the programme. And we also have relationships with accelerators, including the Lean Life Sciences Accelerator, who are able to refer companies into prostate cancer research. And we're also then able to bring the expertise from within our prostate cancer research community into the accelerator programs alongside their venture building model. And finally, we have you guys, this network of 30 medical research charities who have opportunities from their own research portfolios and also from the companies that they engage with across the health space. And what we're really hoping to do is to build that network so that we are sharing those opportunities amongst the TAR members. Next slide, please. Oliver mentioned earlier that there's a great need for new diagnostics, better diagnostics for screening and testing, and that is certainly one area where there's a great unmet need in prostate cancer. And you'll see later that in terms of our pipeline, quite a lot of those innovations fall into that testing and diagnostic space. But we are also keen to identify innovations that relate to therapeutics, so drug development, immunotherapy or drug delivery, and more advanced types of therapies. So not only small molecules, but for example, microRNAs. And so we're agnostic to the technology. And what we're really looking for is an innovation that has potential to move the needle for prostate cancer. And so therefore, any technology we will review for potential inclusion in our portfolio. Next slide, please. These are the 6 companies so far that have successfully made it through the TSAC process and have a recommendation for investment. The top 3 we have already invested in. The first, Lucida Medical, is a AI machine learning tool for improving diagnostics from MRI scans. So improving the accuracy and speed of MRI diagnostics for prostate cancer. Nanovery is a company that's developed a technology for specifically identifying circulating nucleic acid molecules in peripheral blood, which has potential as a diagnostic, but also as a companion or biomarker for clinical trials. And GlycoScore DX is a company that was formed as a spin-out by an academic researcher whom we fund, that is producing a much more specific screening tool, testing tool than the existing PSA screening test that is specific to prostate cancer. And I think what's interesting is that of those 3, in fact, of the total 6, GlycoScore is the one innovation that is specific to prostate cancer. So Lucida Medical are developing their technology to be able to better diagnose a whole range of different tumours. The Nanovery technology, again, can be purposed to a whole range of different tumour types. The 3 companies pending investment in the bottom row, Extruded Pharmaceuticals is a technology allowing sustained local delivery of therapeutic agents direct into tumours. Stratosphere are developing a 3rd generation stealth virus to deliver immunotherapy direct to cancer cells, and their lead indication is prostate cancer. And Oxford Black Medics, again, is an immunotherapy technology looking to improve the way that we're able to spark an immune response, hopefully with efficacy to cold tumours in particular, like prostate cancer, that have a knack of evading the immune system. Next slide, please. We mentioned that we build pipeline, and this slide is really just to illustrate the range of different companies that we have active engagement with, that they range from companies looking for funding in the pre-seed space right through to seed, Series A, and even companies who are looking for clinical adoption. And we tend to work with companies for a period of around 12 months to 18 months before they actually get to the point where they receive a recommendation from TSAC for funding. You can also see the sort of range of technologies, and there is a preponderance of diagnostic innovations. but also we have a number of therapeutic and drug delivery technologies in our pipeline. Next slide, please. So what have we achieved so far? Well, so far, we are delighted to be an investor partner with Innovate UK and to have leveraged over £1.6 million in co-investment for the companies that we support. We have resource technical know-how to validate new technologies, and we've deployed this for the benefit of the companies that we support. And we've successfully linked multiple companies with academics, pharma partners, and clinicians in terms of developing their business model and also deploying their trials or in relation to facilitating access to data and samples. We've also provided patient insight to help support product development for these companies. And the penultimate tick there, we're really happy that we've been able to spark the foundation of the TAR network, because we see this as really critical to helping us to build those third sector collaborations and to help bolster the knowledge that we do have, as well as share the knowledge that we do have and our experiences. So there are 5 key areas where we're focusing our efforts and developing these new partnerships. One is around sourcing opportunities, and that could be from other third sector organisations, but also working with academics, universities, technology transfer officers. We're looking to leverage investment, so not only having good relationships with VCs, but also building this wider network of investors who are able to support early stage companies. We are continuing to strengthen our proposition by working with accelerators, mentors and industry, and making those sources of support available to the companies in our pipeline. We are keen to support clinical uptake of new innovations. So we are keen to support innovators whose technology has reached a particular stage, advanced stage in its development, to build those relationships with the NHS, with services and with innovation hubs. And we are continuing to build our case for support, and we're really keen to be able to demonstrate the impact of our translational research programme and to use this to help us raise funds to grow and sustain our activities. These are our strategic goals through to 2027. We have just launched as an organisation a new strategy. And for the translational programme itself, we aim to build an investment portfolio of 12 early stage companies and to see 4 of those rise through to Series A. We are keen to be able to increase our investment capacity and are looking at developing a small philanthropic fund that is specifically directed to those very early stage companies that often struggle for financial support. And so for that, we want to move that forward by ultimately developing a much larger fund, working in partnership with a VC. And finally, we are continuing to provide access to data and samples and to help provide for clinical trial recruitment. And I think the final box there is perhaps in the wrong place, but what we really like to see for the TAR network is to see this group grow, to see it to be sustainable, well-financed and well-managed. Next slide, please. So why did we start the TAR network? Many of the things that I've said previously during this presentation, this is really just a reiteration, and it's about building collaborations. We want opportunities to share quality innovations in terms of building our portfolio and to look for partnerships in terms of not only investing, but helping to accelerate the best innovations for prostate cancer patients. We know we want to learn. We don't have all the other answers, and we know that you guys have lots of expertise, so we want to learn from you. We want to connect to experts, and we want to be able to increase our impact by building our knowledge base. And finally, as a single organisation and a small charity, our ability to influence the ecosystem is naturally limited. And we feel that as a network, we can have a louder voice. So we want to amplify the collective value of our charities and to leverage more support for the third sector in working in translational research. Now, just to mention the TAR survey in which many of you participated, this slide really shows you kind of the diversity in terms of the size of those charities. And you will see that the majority of charities are either medium or small sized. And we think that there are some very particular challenges to being a smaller charity in terms of supporting what can often be quite an expensive endeavour. So translational research can be quite intense and quite intense financially. And we looked at the range of indications that are covered off by the member charities, and you can see that there is the most largest group is cancer charities. We have representation from rare diseases, inflammatory diseases, metabolic, cardiovascular, neurological, and sight loss charities. And then we have a group of other charities. So there's a good diverse pool of charities working right across the health space. And we see that as being very healthy for the TAR network. We also asked in our survey what barriers TAR members and respondents had experienced relating to funding or supporting translational research. And I think the greatest of those is access to funding, but also people do feel that they have a lack of expertise or understanding of translational research within their individual charities. And I think that really speaks to the reason why being a sort of pan indication group with lots of different diverse experience, we can help to build that expertise and understanding amongst ourselves. We also, there are, I think the fourth most common was difficulty in identifying pipeline or opportunities to support. And I hope that in sharing the way that we go about identifying pipeline, that has given you, if this is a problem that applies to you, it's giving you some insights into the ways in which we've been able to identify pipeline and to start to develop those relationships. And we've got a few comments from respondents down the bottom there, which I won't read aloud. But I do think that what it does speak to is this need for us all better to understand and deal with legal, regulatory and ethical complexities, because it is a very different space to academic research. And that is one area that has been flagged by TAR network members as something that we can focus on in terms of our shared learning. Next slide, please. This is also an interesting response from the survey, where I think that what this graph is speaking to is the fact that there are impacts from from academic research that can play into a translational research program for the majority of TAR members, be that registrable IP or soft IP, or even products that have reached patients in clinical settings. And I think that 42% was quite a surprisingly high number when we looked at these results. And finally, also generation of a spin out at 36%, that's over a third of respondents, really highlighting the potential from their academic portfolios to result in commercializable products. And I think that that is an untapped area of opportunity for the third sector. Thank you. So if you haven't already read the TAR report, you'll find it on the Proven Connect website, TAR section. And this contains the results of the survey more fully and some key insights derived from the survey, but also from members of the TAR network who have to date shared their experiences and their learnings. Thank you.